Creating a modern website as we see today can be a complex task. However, it's possible to achieve this without writing a single line of code and in less time. Welcome to the FRAMER beginner tutorial video. I'm Gemsi and this is a video series. You can find the entire series in the YouTube playlist which I have provided in the description below. Throughout this series, we will develop the landing page of the personal portfolio website from Figma to Framer. I will guide you from start to finish, and also you can check out the live demo and obtain the free remix link in the description below. Framer is a visual tool that allows you to develop the website, providing an experience similar to working in Figma. In this tutorial, I will guide you through developing a website from scratch in Framer, instilling confidence in your ability to create a website. Throughout this series, I will offer you an overview of the Framer and discuss key concepts. I will also introduce the Framer tool, exploring how it can be employed on achieving interactive and responsive website. Stay tuned for an exciting journey in the world of website development with Framer. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner Framer friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now we are going to see about the fundamentals of the Framer which need to be learned before getting into the development phase. We will discuss about the canvas, left, right and top panel, frames, layout, size, position, and finally we will see how to create the text and color style. Let's get into the video. After logging into the Framer, we will get the screen like this. On clicking on New, the new project will be created, so that you can actually create the web page. So we get the screen. The center part is known as the canvas. So inside the canvas, we can actually create the web pages by including the elements that needed. So coming to the left panel, we have pages, layers, and assets. The pages are for the web pages that need to be created for the website. The layers is for the pages that we are currently in. The assets is to store the reusable components and styles and codes here. Coming to the right panel, we have the properties of the elements that are created inside the canvas. And coming to the top panel, we have insert. Inside this insert, we have the predefined elements. So from here, we can use these predefined elements and make the necessary changes. Next, we have the layouts. In order to add the text, we can use this option. And we have a CMS and action. The action is for something like a quick search. To rename this project, we can click on it. So this pop-up will be displayed. From here, we can change the name. In order to preview this web page, we can use this play option so that the preview will be displayed. Now let's see about the frames. To create the frames, we can use the key F, or in the layout, we can see the option as frame. By clicking and dragging, the frame will be created. Now let's see what is frame. The frame is like a box. Inside the box, we can create the elements. So the frame will hold the elements that are created. Let me explain you with an example. Inside the insert, I'm choosing one of the section here. So here we can see features large frame, features wrap, and again another wrap. So each of these is represented as box. So inside the features, we have two wraps. And again inside the wrap, we have a frame. One is for image and another one is for content. Again inside this content, we have a title, paragraph. And we have buttons, and both the buttons are wrapped inside another frame. And all those are wrapped inside another frame, which is something like a box. So the frames is more or less like a nested box. Now let's see about the layouts. The layout has two types, stack and grid. Let me create two frames. Now I'm choosing this parent frame. In order to make the layout as stack, we are going to this layout and choosing plus option, the stack will be created. To make the elements inside the frames neatly aligned, we are using the option stack or grid. The stack is for either rows and columns, and grid is for both the rows and columns. Coming to the stack, we can clearly see these both frames is neatly aligned. And next we have the option of horizontal and vertical. If I make the option to vertical, these two frames will automatically adjust to the vertical position. Next we have distribute. By default, the option will be in center. We can make the distribution to start, end, space between, space around, and space evenly. And we have the alignment that can be aligned to the start, center, and end. Even we can make it as wrap. In order to make the gap between these two frames, we can use the option gap. So the gap will be created between these two frames. We can give the padding value by using this option. Even we can give the padding value for the top, right, bottom, left separately. Even without creating the frame separately, we can directly make the rows, columns, and grid by using the option here. If I click on rows, the row will be created with a predefined two frames that will be aligned in a rows. And even I can make the columns just like that. The same will be followed for the grid. Next, let's see about the size. The frame can be created by the free form. So the width and height will be created based on the frame created, so that the option will be fixed. And then we have the option of relative. If I use the option relative, it will be calculated based on the percentage. If I make this percentage to 50%, then this particular frame will be 50% of its parent. That is the 50% of this frame. And if I make it to 80%, it will occupy the 80% of its parent element. And we have the option fill. If I use the fill option, then it will automatically occupy the full width of the parent, so that you can able to see if I use the option fill, it is occupying the full width of its parent. And finally, we have the option of fit content. Let me explain you with another example. The fit content is to make the frame to be fit according to the content inside that frame. Let me show you. I'm clicking on fit. So this frame will be fit based on the content which is inside it. If I again make the height to fit content, it will fit according to the content which is inside it. Next, let's see about the position. We have 4 types of position: absolute, relative, fixed, and sticky. Coming to the relative first, the relative position is like a static position. So all the frame which is relative will be stacked one above the other, just like this. Even we can't move this freely. So now if I make the position to absolute, then that particular frame can be freely moved, as like we are seeing in the Figma. The next position is fixed position. Let's see about this fixed position. If I make this navigation bar to fixed, then that particular bar will be fixed. Then this particular frame will be fixed to the entire screen. Let me preview this. So this particular navigation is fixed to the entire screen. Even going to the end of the screen, that particular bar is fixed to the screen. Now let's see about the position sticky. Let's make this content position to sticky. Even we can make the offset here. Let me preview this. So this particular content will be sticked to the screen until this parent element goes off the screen, like this. So we can clearly see until this parent frames goes off the screen, this particular content is stick to the screen. So the fixed and sticky position is different from one another. Now let's see how to create the text styles. Now I'm clicking on this text and going under the text. Here we can see the styles. So on clicking on this, we can create a new styles. From here, we can choose the option that we require. And by clicking on edit, we can edit the font, weight, etc. Even we can give the colors from here and make the transform to capitalize, uppercase, lowercase, etc. Even we can give the decorations and we can predefine the alignment also. And coming to the breakpoints, we can add the breakpoints beforehand. The 1200 for desktop and medium for tablet. The small is for the device smaller than the tablet. And here we can give the size based on the breakpoints. The letter spacing, line spacing, paragraph, everything can be given beforehand by using this text style. And next, let's see how to create the color style. So under the style, we can see fill. Inside this fill, we can choose the color that we need. And in order to create the color style, I'm choosing the option plus, and here we can give the name so that the particular color will be created and that color can be used again and again. So these are all the fundamentals of the framer that need to be known beforehand. So next, we will explore the actual process of creating the website. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the Framer beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner framer friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Let's see about how to create the hero section of the landing page at first. Here I have the Figma design of the landing page. And now let's create the hero section. So at first, let's analyze this design. Here we have a box which holds the content on the left and an image on the right. And coming to the left, we have a display text, a title, a paragraph, and a button, and at last we have a follow me text. So these title, display text, and paragraph and button will be under a one wrap, and this follow me will be in another wrap, and again inside it we can add the icons. And coming to the right, we have images along with two symbols, and we need to make this triangle and a star symbol as our absolute, and let's make this image as relative. So we have analyzed, and let's add the background as like in this design. So we have analyzed this design. Let's go to the framer. So at first let's add the frame for the background. So I'm adding a frame. In order to make it a stack, I'm going to the desktop and I'm pressing layout to make it as stack. Now the frame is created. Now inside the frame, let's add the background. So I'm going to the fill, and at last we can see the image. So from here we can choose the image. So we have included the background image, and now we need to add another frame that holds this text and image. So let me add another frame and make this hero section to stack in order to align it properly. So again, inside we need two frames. So let's add two frames. Coming to the content wrap, let's set the width to relative. This full wrap takes the fixed height and width. So let's make the width to fill and height to fit. So inside this content wrap, now we need to add the text. So to add the text, I'm using text option. This position by default is set to absolute. So we need to make it as relative. Beforehand, we need to set this content wrap to stack. So it's automatically changed its position to relative. And again, I'm duplicating this. Actually, it's overflowing. In order to avoid that, I'm going to the size and let's set the width to fill. So this content will fill based on its parent. Got it? And also we need to make this text to fill. Fine. And next we need to add the paragraph. Now we need to add the button. So to create the button, I'm again using the frame. It's having the fixed width and height. Let's make it to fit content, and for the height, fit content. Now we can give the padding value from here. Now let's add this social media link. For that, again inside this content wrap, I'm creating a frame. Now let's give the width to fill and height to fit content, and also the text take the fixed width. Let's make it to fill. Now let's erase this color. Now we need to add this icon. So for this, and again I'm creating a frame in order to hold all the icons. Now inside this we need to create the icons. So I am adding a prosper icon. So from here I can add the icon. The same follow-ups for the other icons. We can change the color from here. In order to make all the elements to be contained, we need to create a container. So above this full wrap, I'm creating a frame by using Ctrl Alt Enter, and I'm giving the name to container. And let's give the max width to 1200. And even we can also change the breakpoint size as by our wish. For instance, I'm using 1280. So we can able to clearly see that all the elements is contained with a particular width. Now let's add these images. Let's change the image. We can clearly see this image is at the other end. So let me give the distribution to end. Okay, now we need to add the symbols. So for that, creating a frame, let's make this frame to absolute. So we can able to move it around. Actually, this shape is hiding. It's because of this overflow. So let me check whether the parent's overflow is hidden. Yes, this overflow is hidden, so let me change it to visible. And again, it's not visible beyond this. So let me go to the full wrap, the overflow visible. Again, it's not. So go to the container, visible. Yeah. And in order to make this image to be at the front, we need to set the Z index. So going to the styles, I'm choosing Z index. Let's make the Z index to 1. So we can view this image at the front. So now we need to add this polygon. and we need to add a star. So finally we have made as like in our Figma. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the Framer beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next section. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner Framer friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now let's see how to create the reusable component. Here I have taken the example of creating a button. In order to create the component, just do the right click. Here you can see the create component option. Either you can use the shortcut Ctrl+Alt+K. So you will get the pop-up. Here you can give the component name. So by default you get it as a variant. Here on clicking we can change the name. And we have the options of hover or pressed, and also we can able to create another variant. At first let me create the hover option. Now I wish to change this color to white. So in order to check this, I'm previewing this and hover, it's changing color. So we have created a button with the hover state. And also we need the another variants of buttons. Let's see how to make that. Here we have the option of variant. So on clicking, the variant 2 will be created. Here we can change the name. And I'm doing the changes that is needed for the second variant of button. So that I have created the second variant of this button, let me preview this so you can able to see the changes. You can view the created component here. So for the option, you can see the different types of variant. We have created primary and secondary. So based on our design, we can change this variant type. We want to change the content of the button. Let's see how to make that. If I click on this text, under the text option, you can view the content. So on clicking, I can set the existing variable or create a new variable. Let me create a new variable in order to explain it more. So if I click on plain text, a variable will be created. Let me give it as text. And also by default, we can give the default value. Even we can give the placeholder, or even we can make it as text area or no. So the new variable will be created. To explain the variable mode, consider a box with a variable name. Inside that box, we can put the values which is related to the variable. I'm coming back to the home. Here we can see the button component. And coming to the right panel, we can see the variant which is created. And inside the text, we can change the text as we need, so that you can see the text has changed. So this is the basics of creating a component. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the Framer beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next section. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner Framer friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now let's see how to create the navigation bar. Coming to the Figma design, we can see the navigation bar design. Here we have a brand name and a links along with the button. Let's consider this as a frame and this as another frame which is like a wrap. Both the frames should be on its end. Coming to this wrap, we have links. So all the links and buttons should be wrapped inside the frame, and this brand should be in another frame. Let's make it out. So let's create a frame. Bring it over the hero section, and let's make the layout as stack. Now again, inside this frame, I'm creating another frame. Name it as container. Make it as fill and max width to 1200. Now inside this container, there will be another frame, and duplicate this. Now in order to make this frame here and frame here, I'm going to use the option space between. Now let's add a text. Now coming to the design, we can see this navbar should merge with the background. So let me make this navbar to absolute. Yes, this looks fine. And coming to the links wrap, let me add the links. I'm making it as stack, and let the direction be horizontal. So we can see it was overflowed. It's because of this fixed width and height. Now let's make it as fit content and for the height. And coming to the each separate link, let's make it as fit content. Now we need to give the spacing. So let me give the gap to 40. Now we need to add a button. So I'm using Ctrl K to search the button. I'm going to include the button. Now let's drag it and place it inside the links wrap. And we need a secondary button. So yeah, we have made the navigation bar. And coming to this, we have a breathing space for the navigation bar and the hero section. So for that, I'm going to the hero section, and I'm giving the padding value for the top to 150. Yeah, this seems good. So this is the process of creating a simple navigation bar. You can always check out my other videos in the Framer beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next section. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner Framer friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now we are going to create the About section of this landing page. Let's get into the design. Here we can see the About section with the icon at the top and the text at the bottom. So let's use the frame for the wrap. Inside it, let's create a container with a width of 900, and then let's create an icon and a text at the bottom. Let's get into the framer. So I'm creating a frame, and let's make the width to fill. Inside this About section, I'm creating a frame, and for that, let's give the max width. Now make the width to fill. Inside it, we need to add the icon and a text. In order to align it properly, I am making this layer to stack. Let's choose the image. And now we are going to add a text inside. Actually, this direction is in horizontal, so let's make it to vertical. So that we have created the basic design of this about section. This container has a fixed height, so let's make it to fit content. And also the about section to be in a fit content. And we need to create the appropriate gap between this icon and a text. So let me give the gap. Here we have a border at the bottom. Actually, it's around 1200 width. Creating a wrap just above it. Let me name it as main container and give the max width to 1200. And also we need to give the border, so I'm choosing this border and I'm giving the width for only for the bottom, so I'm giving the remaining to 0. Now we need a spacing at the top. It will be around 140. So in the about section I'm giving the padding value for the top to 140. And in the main container we have added the border and it is not up to the section length, so we need to give the padding value, that is the bottom padding value for this main container. So let me give the padding for the bottom to 140. So in order to view this border, let me duplicate it so you can actually view the design. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the FRAMER beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next section. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner FRAMER friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now we are going to see about the featured section. Let's see the design in the Figma. So this is the design of the feature. At the top we have a title and a paragraph which is in the center. So for this, let's make it as a fixed width, but based on the design we can create a grid. So we can create two wraps, one at here and other at here. So inside this wrap we can create another two wraps. The same follows for the second wrap. So actually it's enough to create one wrap and we can make the copy of others. And for the second wrap we need to give the padding at the top. And finally we have a button at the bottom and one border line. So we can create this border line for the container. Now let's get into the design. Now I'm creating a frame for the feature. Inside it, let's create a container. I'm giving it as fill and make the max width to 1200. So we need to create a title and a paragraph. Inside this, let's create a title and a paragraph. Now I'm copying the text and let's replace it. So we have created the title and a text. We need to make it as center. So for the title, let's align it to the center. The same follows for the paragraph. Now we need to give the fixed width. Let's check it. That is 650. Now give the height to fit content. So we have finished the content wrap. Next, work wrap. So again I'm creating another wrap here. We need to set the direction for this container to vertical. Fill the width and inside it we need two wraps. One frame is enough for now and then we can make the copy of it. Inside it we need to add an image and a text with the title and some of the paragraph. So I'm creating a frame that is for the image and let's select the image. Now we need to give the radius value. Let's check it from Let's check it from the design, that is around 30. And also we need to check the width and height, that is around 570. Coming to this, let's give the height to fit content. And beside this image, we need a title. So let's create another frame which is beneath this image. Let's make the direction to vertical. This is for content. Let's make this layer to stack. Inside this, we need a title and another paragraph. So I'm copying this. Let's make this content to vertical and fit and fill. Let's see its size, that is 40. We are going to use gray. Let's make the alignment to left. We have done the first work, that is work wrap, and we need to copy this work wrap and paste, and let's make the work full wrap to in vertical. Okay, and we need to copy this work full wrap for another. Before that, we need to make this work full wrap inside another wrap. So again, I'm creating a wrap above the work full wrap. So for that, Control Alt Enter. The wrap will be created full wrap. So now I'm going to duplicate this work full wrap. So now we have created. Now we need to adjust its size. So let's make it to fill. So we have done. Let's create a spacing between this content and a work wrap. So in the container, let's give the wrap to 50, and for the full wrap, let's select work full wrap, and I'm going to give the gap, that is around 100. Let's do the same for work full wrap, that is a second wrap. We have a sum of the spacing between these two wraps, so let's make that too. For that, I'm choosing full wrap. Now we need to give the spacing at the top, so I'm choosing work full wrap, and I'm giving the padding value at the top to 100. But the first wrap alignment is missing, so for that I'm choosing this full wrap, and I'm making the distribution to start and make the alignment to the top, so that we have made the change as like in our design. Now let's change the images of every wrap, and we need to change the every content, so let's make that too. Now we need to add the button at the bottom, so let's add that. For that, I'm choosing container. Under the container, I'm inserting the button. The button is created, and let's change the text. The spacing between this content and the word grid is not enough, so let's change the gap to 100. And we have a considerable spacing at the top, so let's go to the feature section and give the padding value at the top to 1/4. The same follows for the bottom, but only the thing is there is a border line at the bottom, so we should be inside the container. So I'm choosing the container, and I'm going to give the border, that is only for the bottom. And also we need to give the padding value at the bottom. So we have created the feature section of this landing page. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the FRAMER beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next section. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner FRAMER friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now we are going to create another section which uses the concept of ticker. Let's get into the video. So in the design, we have the section for the partners with the title at the top and with a bunch of logos at the bottom. Let's make this logo as a ticker, that is more or like a marquee. Let's get into the framer. I'm creating a frame which is under the future section, and I'm naming it as partner section. Let's make it as tag. Inside this partner section, let's create a container, that is fill. Let's check the width, that is 1200, so let's make it as max width 2200. Inside this we need a title, so I'm copying and I'm pasting the title. The direction is in horizontal, so let's make it to vertical. So for the title I need to change the content, so I'm copying it from here and I'm pasting it here, and I'm choosing the text style. Now we need to add the logo. For that I need to add the frame in order to hold all the logos. So again I'm adding a frame under it. Let's see its height, that is around 30, so let's make it as 40 itself. So now inside this logo wrap we are going to add the ticker component. So for that I'm going to the insert and I'm searching for ticker. I'm click and drag it inside this logo wrap. So the ticker will be created. Let's make the width to fill and height to fill. So the properties of the stickers can be viewed here. We need to add the content inside the sticker. We can add the contents of the ticker only outside of this desktop breakpoint. So I'm adding a frame which is outside. Let me check the height and width of this logo. 130 and 30. And I'm giving the name, and let's add the image by choosing choose image. Let's change the each logos. So now we have added all the logos which is necessary. Let's go to the ticker. And before that I'm going to the logo wrap and erasing this color. Now inside the sticker I'm going to the component. Under the children I'm going to add the logos by choosing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the 6 logos is added, and even we can able to give the speed option. For now I'm giving the speed to 90%, and even we can set the direction to left, right, up and down. For now I'm choosing the direction to right, and even we can make the alignment, and let's give the gap to 80, and even we can provide the padding values. And for the sizing we can give the auto width and auto height, even it can be stretch or stretch, so it will be like this. So for instance I'm giving it as auto itself. And coming to the clipping, I don't need the fading effect, so I'm giving no. So while on hovering the ticker, even we can make the speed to slow down or to increase the speed. So for now I'm making the speed to 0.7. So we have made the necessary adjustment, and we need to create the gap between these two. And coming to this partner section, let's make the width to fill and height to fit content, and we need to add the padding value. So let's give the padding at the top to 100 and for the bottom to 100. So we have made the partner section. Let's preview it. So it's working fine. So on hovering the speeds get reduced. So this is the process of creating a partner section that uses the ticker component. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the FRAMER beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next section. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner FRAMER friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now we are going to see how to create the testimonial section with the help of Slideshow component. Let's get into the video. Coming to the design, we have a testimonial section. So first let's create a section wrap, and inside it a container wrap with a max width 1200 pixel. And then we will create a wrap for the slideshow, and let's embed the slideshow component inside it. And coming to the design, we have a background image, and inside it we have an image of the customer. Let's make it in a wrap, and in another wrap let's embed the code the name of the customer, and his review. Now we have understand the design of the testimonial. Let's get into the framer. I'm creating a section container with max width 1200. Now again inside it I'm creating a frame for the slideshow wrap. Now to embed the slideshow, I'm going to insert. I'm searching for slideshow. Let's drag and insert inside this. Now make the slideshow width to fill and height to fill. So we have embedded the slideshow. Now we need to add the content inside this slideshow. For that, outside of this breakpoint, I'm creating a frame. And again inside it, we need to create this design. So let's create another wrap. Let's make it as container. Now we need to add this image. So let's create the frame. Let's understand the size, that is 200. So let's make the width and height to 200. And for the radius 100%. Let's add the image. So we bring the image. Next we need to add the code with 45 pixels. So let's create a frame with 45. It's in horizontal, so let's make it as vertical and it should be in the center. This is for code. Let's add the image. And we have the name and a review. So I'm copying one of the text and bringing it here. Let's make it to center. Then we need to add the paragraph. I'm copying one of the paragraph and bringing it under the container. Let's copy this text and paste it here. Let's make it to align center. Now we need to make this para, title and code under the wrap. So I'm using Ctrl Alt Enter to create a wrap. Let's make it to fill and fit. And coming to this container, we have a fixed height, so let's make it to fit content. Fine. Now let's see the radius of this wrap, that is approximately 30. So let's make it as 30. Now we need to add the image. So let me add the image. So we have added the image and we need a spacing between these two. So going to the container, let's give the gap to 30. Okay, it's look great. Now let's create the padding value for the top and bottom. And let's make the height to fit content. And again we need appropriate spacing for this content. So I'm choosing this wrap and let's make it as, yes, so it looks good. So in order to replicate this design for another, I'm duplicating it and I'm changing the image. So now it's time to include these two inside the component. So I'm choosing this slideshow. Under the content, I can add by choosing this. Now we need to increase the height. So it seems good. And we doesn't need this dotted. So in order to change, I'm going under the dots. And in the show, I'm choosing no. To know more about the slideshow component, other components and much more, you can learn from my upcoming Framer beginner friendly course. Check the link in the description below to know more details. Coming to the testimonial section, let me give the top and bottom padding value to 140 and for the bottom 140. Let's check how it's working from the preview. Okay, it's working fine. But I need to change this content. Let me preview this. Yes, it's working properly. So you all understand how to create the testimonial section by using the slideshow component. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the Framer beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next section. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner Framer friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now we are going to see how to create the experience section with components where I will explain more about the components. Let's get into the video. Coming to the design, we have a section of experience and tools. We have a title at the top and some small paragraph at the bottom. So let's create a wrap for both these, and in another wrap we will create this list. So while on hovering this part, this image will display along with this linear gradient. So now let's see how we are gonna make this. Coming to the framer, I'm creating a frame with container with a max width 1200. Here we see we have a title and a paragraph. So I'm copying it from here. Let's paste it. Make the container alignment 2 at the top. Then we need another wrap for this. Now again inside it we need to create a wrap for this. So I'm creating a frame inside this card wrap, that is card. And next we need the text on each ends. So I'm copying one of the text and pasting inside this card. Let fill. I'm changing the style. Now let me change the text too. And now we need a date in its end. So again I'm duplicating it and I'm changing the text. Now align this text to the right. Okay, we made it. Now we need a line at the bottom. So in the card I'm going to the border. I'm giving the border color. So here we made the basic setup. Now let's create a component, because we are going to repeat this component more than one time, and also we need to create the hover effect. So let's create a component. For that, use Ctrl Alt K. So it will be created. Let's make this variant for desktop. In order to view this, I'm going to here view appearance day mode. Okay, and in the center we need the image. So I'm going to create an image by using the frame. Let me check its width. It's around 180. So let me give the width and height to 180. And let's give the radius to 60. And it's an image. So we can clearly see this image will not be contained inside this wrap. So we need to make this position as absolute. So I'm going to the position. I am changing the position to absolute, so it can be moved freely. And also we need to make it visible even outside this wrap. So for that I'm going to the desktop. I'm changing the overflow to visible. You got it? Now let's make all these inside another wrap. Let's make it as content wrap, and let's give the height to fit content. The same for this desktop, fit content. Now let's create the padding value at the top and bottom. So now we made the basic setup. Let's add the image. So I have added the image. Now we need to make the hover effect. So I'm pressing hover and I need to change this color. So let me change the color to purple. The same for this color, purple. And we need to change its angle. Let it be 30. Okay, let's look fine. And we need to add the gradient. So for the content wrap, I'm going to the fill. Let's give the linear gradient and make the direction like this. The color is in green. Let's add 2 more. And for the first one, let's reduce its opacity. The same for the last one, reduce the opacity. And coming to the second, let's give the color to green. The same for this. And let's make the arrangement. And let's reduce the opacity too in order to match with our design. And again, here there is a mistake. So let's bring it closer. Again, add 2 more. Bring the opacity to 0. Now let's preview how it's working. Yes, it's working great. So now we need to change this text and image. So for that, let's see how to make that. I'm creating this text and going to the content, and I'm going to create the variable with plain text. So let the name be text, and I have given this text as a default, so no problem. And for the date, and I'm creating the variable with plain text. Let the name be date. Now coming to the image, let's create the image variable. Okay, so we have created the text and image and date variables. Now let's go back. Here we can see the image has been cut. So we need to give the overflow visibility. Now let's make this height to fit content, and now it's time to add cuts. Now let's make this chord wrap direction to vertical. Okay, but actually we doesn't need this image before hover. So I'm clicking on this image and let's reduce its opacity, and coming to here, let's increase its opacity. Yeah, so it looks perfectly fine, and we need a spacing between these two. So I'm choosing container. Let's give the gap. Okay, and also we need to give the spacing at the top and bottom. Already we have a considerable spacing at the top, so let's give the padding value at the bottom itself. So for the bottom, let me give the padding value to 140, and now it's time to change its content. So I'm clicking on the second one, and based on the content which is inside this design, I'm giving here. So we have created the featured section. Let's preview this to check how it's work. It's working perfectly fine, but we can able to see the gap. So it's because of the gap between these cards. So let's make the gap to 0. Now let's check. Yep, it's working perfectly fine. So we have completed the experience section with the creation of component with more variants. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the FRAMER beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next section. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner FRAMER friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now we are going to see how to create the footer section. Let's get into the video. So in the design, this is the footer section. So we need to create a section, and inside it, we need a container with a max width 1200. And at the top, we have a title with text, and below it, we have a link. And at the end, we have a navigation with the logo and some of the links. And also, we need to add the background image. Let's get into the FRAMER. So I'm adding a frame for the footer, and let's add the background image for this footer. And inside it, let's create a container with max width. Now we need to add this title. So let's align it to the top, and let's change as like in the footer. And we need to change the color to white, and we have a text. So let's make all those inside the wrap. So I'm creating a frame above this title. So Control Alt Enter. So the frame will be created. Let's make it as content wrap, and we are having a text. So let me duplicate this and make the direction to vertical, and let's change the text style and bring it to the center, and we need to add another text. Let's change the text style, and I'm bringing it to the center, and at the bottom we need to add this style. So I'm going to the navbar, and I'm going to copy this. Let's paste it inside this container. Now we need to make the direction to vertical. Let's make it as fit content, and the container to fit content. Also we need to make this footer to fit content, so that we have a mate like this. We doesn't need this button, so I'm going to delete this. Okay, and we need an appropriate spacing between these two. So it will be around 100. Now we need to add the border line at the top. So I'm going to the border, and I'm giving the value 1 for the top and remaining as 0, and let's give the color, so it will be fine. And we need to create the spacing at the top. So I'm going to the footer, and for the padding I'm giving the top value to 140. And also we need a spacing between all these, so I'm choosing this content wrap, and let's give the padding value. So now it's look like in the design. So we have completed the footer section. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the FRAMER beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next video. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner FRAMER friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. Now we are going to see how to create the links and animation for the created website. Let's get into the video. Now let's start with the navbar. Here we have the brand name and with the links, and at the last we have the button. So on clicking on each, it should take to some pages or the section. So on clicking this brand name and home, it should take us to the home page, and coming to this about, it should take us to the about section, and for the work it takes us to the featured work. On clicking on this button, it should take us to the footer. So we get the clear idea. And now we have already discussed, on clicking on this about, it should take us to the about section. But we need to specify that it should take to this section. For that, it should need the name. So let's see how to do. I'm clicking on this about section and I'm going to give the name for this section. In order to do that, I'm going to the scroll section. Here we have name and offset Y. So in the name, I'm giving it as about. The same for the feature section. In the scroll section, I'm giving the name as work. And going to the footer, let me give it as contact. So for each section, I have given the name. Now it's time to create the link. I'm clicking on this brand and here we have link. So on clicking on this plus icon, this will open. Here we can provide the URL or the page link. Here by default, it has home because we have created only the home page, so it's showing like this. So I'm clicking on home, and here it's showing the section that we have created, that is a scroll section. Here there is no need because it have to take us to the home page. And coming to the style, we can create the style that we needed. So on clicking on new style, the new link will be created, and pressing on edit, we can modify the changes. So we can provide the default color, the hover color and a current color. The current color specifies in which page we are currently in. So I have already created the link, so I am clicking on this link, and even we can specify whether it should open the new tab or no. The same follows for this home. I am clicking on this link, let me give the home, and let's go to the about. On clicking on link, I'm clicking home page. In the section, I'm choosing about. And also we can specify whether the scroll should be smooth or instant. If I make it as instant, it will automatically take to the about section. Let me show you. I'm clicking this. It's instantly taking to the about section. It should be like a smooth scroll. So for that, I'm choosing smooth. So now if I click, it's smoothly taking to the about section. Now I'm clicking on work. Let me give the section to work, smooth scroll. Next is button. Here we haven't have any of the links here. We can do it by using two methods. The first method is creating a wrap above this button. Use Ctrl Alt Enter, so the wrap will be created, and here we can provide the link like this, or you can use another option. I'm going straight into the button. I'm choosing primary. Here we can see the link. So on clicking on this link to, we can create the variable. So the link will be created that will be used as a variable. Even we can give the variable for new tab and for the scroll. Now inside the component, we can see the link. So on link, we can give it as contact. So this is how we need to create the links for the text and the buttons. Now coming to the icons, even it doesn't have any of the link. So I have already said one of the method, just create one wrap, and here we can give the link. Actually it's taking us to the Instagram, so I'm providing the Instagram URL and we can provide the user ID. The same follows for Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. Next, let's see how to create the animation. Now coming to this text, let's create the animation that is going to slide from bottom to top. So in order to make this, I'm going to the effects. Here we have plenty of options. Actually the animation should happen on up here. So I'm clicking on up here, and even we have the plenty of presets. From here you can choose. So inside the effect, by default the opacity will be 0 and scale will be 1. Let me increase this to show it clearly. Now I feel like I need to bring this text here. So in the offset, I'm bringing the text here. Even we can make the transition changes by providing the stiffness and tapping. Here let me give it as 500 and tapping to 80. It will be fine, I think. Let me go back and reduce the opacity. And even we can able to provide the delay time. So for instance, let me provide the delay to 0. Let me show the effect. So it's working very fine. Now I need to give the transition effect to this. In order to bring the animation to all these, I'm just copying it from here and pasting it. So the effect will be copied here. And coming to this, even I can make the delay time. Let me make the delay to 0.1 so you can able to see this. So only after this text is appearing. Now let me make the animation for this para. So I'm pasting it. Now I'm changing the delay time. Let me do the same for the button. Let's increase the delay time. And for the social media. Let's increase the delay time. Now let's change how it's look. So this is how it will look. So as the same, I'm going to do the animation for this. I have done the animation for this, so it's looking great. And for this about section, I need to make it the animation while scroll. So I'm clicking on this icon, I'm going to the effects. Instead of up here, I'm going to choose as scroll animation. So here I'm going to set the trigger to layer in view, and we can set from which position the animation should start. Even we can make it while at the top or middle or at the bottom. Even we can set whether it should replay or not. And here we can enter the effects. I need to bring it down. So let me bring it down. The same is applied for this text. So I'm pasting it. So this animation will appear while on scroll. So let me show you. So while on scroll, this animation appears. So this is how we need to make the simple animation for remaining sections. So you get the basics clear idea for how to create the links and a basic animation. You can always walk through by checking out my other videos in the FRAMER beginner tutorial playlist. Subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything. See you in the next video. I have uncovered detailed insight in my upcoming beginner framer friendly course. For additional information, check the link in the description below. So let's see how to make our website as a responsive website. Let's get into the video. So we have the desktop breakpoint with 1080 pixels. And in order to create the tablet breakpoint, I'm clicking on this plus icon. Here we can see tablet. I'm clicking on it so that the tablet responsive website will be created with a width 810. Now here we can see in this navbar, it's touching on its each ends. We need to give the breathing space and its each ends. In order to do that, we need to provide the padding value. So I'm going to the padding and I'm giving the right and left value to 30. And also, to make the responsive clearly, we need to set the width to relative 100% so that it has been created. And coming to the hero section, it's not looking great, so we need to make it as vertical. So I'm making it as vertical, and I'm going to choose the content wrap. We have given the width to 40%. Let's make it to 75, and let's align this to start. And coming to the image wrap, we have made the distribution at the end, so let's make it to center and align it properly. And we need to create the spacing between these two, so I'm clicking on this full wrap, and let's the distribution be in the center, and let's give the gap. Even we can decrease the size of this image like this, so that we have created. In order to reduce the spacing at the top, we can give it here. And here we need to give the padding on its each end. So I'm choosing hero section and giving the padding value for the left and right to 30 pixels. So it's look neat. The same process will be followed for all other sections. Coming to the about section, let me decrease the padding value at the top. Let it be 75, and for the bottom 75. Again, we need to create the padding value on its both end. So I'm choosing this about section. Let's give the right and left value to 30. So now let's do the other sections. So that we have made the changes to the tablet responsive website. Now it's looking fine. Now let's create the phone breakpoint. On clicking plus icon, I can create the phone breakpoint with 390 pixel. Now it has been created. And coming to the navbar, we doesn't need this much of spacing on its each end. So let me reduce the padding value to 15. And coming to the hero section, let's make this content wrap to fill. Now it's look great. The same for the padding value. Let me change it to 15. Even we can decrease the size of this image. Let me decrease it. And for the radius, let me make it as 50. Reduce this polygon. This star. For the top and the bottom, let's change the size of the padding. Now your hero section looks great. Let's do for about section. I'm changing the top value and the right and left, and also for the gap. Let me do this feature section. It's overflowing, so let me make it as fill. It's look great. And for the padding, let me make it to 50, and for the gap, the same 50. And coming to the features and coming to the right and left, let me change it to 15 and 15. Instead of making it as column, we can make it as rows. So for that, I'm choosing this full wrap. Let the direction be vertical, so it will align properly. Let's make the gaps in a same size. Let me give the gap to 50. The same for this 50. We have given the padding value at the top, so let us make it as 0. So it's look perfectly nice. And let's make the remaining section. And now coming to the slideshow, the content has been hidden, so we can make the height adjustment. So now it's look great. Let's change the value for the top and bottom and left and right. Now let's do the changes to the remaining section. So that we have completed the phone responsive side too. Let's check it in the preview. It's looking great. Even for the tablet, it's looking great. for the phone. It's working perfectly fine. So you have understand how to create the responsive website easily in Framer. I'm currently working on beginner-friendly Framer course, from basics to building and publishing the entire website. It's a step-by-step guide for seamless learning. Framer is a game changer, and this course make it easy for anyone to master. If you wish to join the waitlist, please check the link in the description below. While you are watching this video, this course may have been released, so always check the link in the description below for the latest information. Thank you for being a part of this entire video series. I'm delighted to share more details about the Framer in my YouTube channel. Please make sure to subscribe and hit the bell button so you won't miss anything.